What's good, YouTube? This is Boxingwave. I appreciate you guys for being here. All right, especially for you guys that was here early this morning on a live commentary. Basically, went live when Brian Norman Jr. knocked out Jin Sasaki in the fifth round. Crazy, crazy knockout. Crazy. Shout out to all the new subscribers here. All right, please hit the thumbs up if you can. Just smash the thumbs up for me, just to support the channel. Um, so we're gonna piggyback off that win, and we're gonna talk about Jaron Boots Ennis right now because I mean this is the direct rival to Brian Norman Jr. And being that Norman has successfully defended his title, all right, for the second time, I believe. I think he won the title when he beat Santion, and I think he's defended it a couple of times since then now. And it's kind of he's a hot topic right now. We talking about 147, like, and Jaron Ennis, who holds two titles, who's unified IBF and WBA, he's moving up to 54 now. He announced earlier this week, his couple interviews that's put out. Shout out to YSM Boxing Media, put out a couple interviews with Jaron Ennis. And then, the news was reported like a few days ago that he was going to move up to 54. So right now, being that he's a direct rival to Brian Norman Jr. because of this crazy knockout we saw earlier, everybody's like calling him a duck. Now, before we get to 54 and what I believe Jaron Ennis should do at 54, let's talk a little bit about Brian Norman Jr. and how I view that fight and how I view that whole situation. Now, in my opinion, this fight should have been happened. It was supposed to happen last year. There was an offer sent out to Team Norman. They didn't like the offer. It was a high paying offer, but they felt like they should have, they thought they was getting low balled. I think it was like something over 1.5 million or something like that. Anyway, there was a huge back and forth and the fight didn't go down, right? So Brian Norman continued to do his thing. Jaron Ennis continued to do his thing. But there was a period where Jaron Ennis had fought Karen Shukashan in a rematch. Tough fight for Jaron Ennis. Says he was going to move up. And then he decided not to move up, stay at 47. There, at some point, because I can't remember the exact timeline, at some point he was offered to fight Virgil Ortiz at 54. So everybody's like, well, you've been talking about going up to 54. Why are you not going up to 54 to fight Virgil Ortiz? Because at one point, I thought Virgil Ortiz was his direct rival at 47 when Virgil was still down at 47. You know what I'm saying? So everybody got on Jaron Ennis at that point because he didn't move up to 54 to fight Virgil Ortiz. And there was a direct offer. He was supposed to be on a big card and everything. The fight never went down. Cool. So everybody called him a duck at that point. He goes on to unify with, who did Jaron Ennis unify with? This guy, Imantas Stanionis, right? A fight we wanted to see because Stanionis has been a top dude at the division for a minute, but he's been waiting to get his shot because he's been inactive and stuff like that. But he's a WBA champion. So Jaron Ennis unifies with him. Now, Jaron has been consistent saying like, yo, I want to move up to 54, but I'm trying to stay at 147 because I want to become undisputed. I want to continue to, unify the titles and become undisputed at 47 before moving up. But he's getting into his later 20s now. The weight cut is not easy, even though he's been looking phenomenal, especially in this last fight against Stanionis. He's been saying, I'm going to stay down here and try to become undisputed. Well, he beats Stanionis. He's unified with two champion titles at this point. And people feel like he's the best dude at 47. But this is why it would have never worked for him. They sent another offer to Team Norman. While Team Norman is gearing and prepping to fight Jin Sasaki this morning. But this is last month. This is like month two ago. You know what I mean? Like, they sent an offer and Team Norman said we denied it because we're about to go into a fight in Japan. We don't want to negotiate with you right now. Which makes sense because they're actually in the middle of prepping for a fight. Why are we going to negotiate with you right now when we already got a fight scheduled for June? So I actually agree with that. I thought he should have took the 1.5 million, whatever, but that's on them. But in this situation, I'm not mad at him. And I understand the strategy for Team Ennis and Eddie Hearn and them. They want to secure the fight now so they'll know, like, all right, we're going to stay at 47 because he already signed for this fight. And once he fights Jin Sasaki, Then we'll have the fight with Norman Jr. and we'll have another unification match. So I don't believe neither one of them ducked each other in that situation. Because right now Brian Norman won the fight. He's hot right now, right? Because he got KO of the year, right? Arguably KO of the year. So right now, and Brian does call him out at the end of the fight. So right now, Boots is looking like a duck because this guy just looked phenomenal. And now he's moving up to 54. And it was announced the same week. Well, this is why it wasn't going to work. Anyway, and this is why it's not a duck on neither side. Because look at it this way. Boots is moving to 54 because the other champion, right, who is Mario Barrios, that fight was announced while he's sitting here waiting, right? Barrios is fighting Pacquiao. So he's not even going to be available anytime soon. And even if he beats Pacquiao, who knows if he's going to be available after that? You know what I'm saying? Plus, you got to look at it like this. If let's just say, if Boots announced his move to 54 after the Norman fight, if he hadn't announced it, they would have called him a duck because he would have moved up after the Brian Norman Jr. knockout. He was stuck anyway. You know what I mean? Like him announcing it before the fight, no one knew he was going to knock out Jin Sasaki like that. I mean, I picked him to win by knockout, but we didn't actually see the fight yet. You know what I mean? So Boots, people calling a duck when you make an announcement prior to a fight is ridiculous because they already sent an offer. They sent the offer last year too. How is it a duck now when the offer has been sent twice? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. And if you don't like Boots, because I get it, like Boots, yeah, at one point they were saying Terrence Crawford was ducking. It's been proven that that wasn't true. Then it was a point that Virgil Ortiz sent the offer, with Turkey and them. And they shut the offer down. You know what I mean? So I get all the hatred on Boots right now. But in this situation, it's like he should be fighting at 54 anyway. Are you ducking Brian Norman Jr. to fight the bigger, stronger guys at 54? Hell no. 54 is the most competitive division in this sport. You can make an argument. It's been the most competitive, not the biggest names, but that's the division where everybody takes an L at some point. So I don't believe that you duck Brian Norman Jr., who's still trying to prove himself at 47, to go up to 54 and fight who? Bakram Murtazaliev, Jamel Charlo, Sebastian Fondor, Tim Tszyu, you know what I mean? Virgil Ortiz, maybe. I don't believe that. Not for one bit. And even though Brian Norman looks like a monster right now, Boots, were we just going to forget like that Boots just stopped Stan Jonas in 6 rounds? Are we going to just forget that quick? Boots been fighting better fighters. So at the end of the day, bro, like, we just got to stop jumping the gun. We didn't even know who Boots is going to fight next yet. And we're already calling him a duck based off a knockout that happened after his announcement to 54. Okay? He realizes right now that he's not getting undisputed at 47. And the longer he stays there, the longer the cut is going to be bad. And these guys, we just saw what happened with Keyshawn Davis last week. You know what I mean? He's like, yo, this weight cut thing, I'm draining myself. I'm messing up my full potential. I'm only fighting 30-40%. This is what he's saying on YSM. I'm messing up 30%. I'm fighting at 30-40% of myself by keeping myself down to 47. You know what I mean? He's going to be 28 at some point. Like, come on. I get it. I understand people want to jump on him, but in this situation, and this one specifically, I can't really run with that. I can't rock with that. Just off a knockout we just saw this morning. Like, nah, that's not cool. All right. Another thing is too, who does he fight at 54? Well, in my opinion, I think Boots should go straight into the fire, man. I don't think he's a guy that needs to be fighting all of these tune-ups at 54 now that he just got there. He's already big. He's not a small dude. You know what I mean? You know how Arrow was supposed to go straight there and not do any tune-ups and stuff? You know how Bud just went up there and fought Madrimov on his first fight there? If Boots is good enough to become a unified champion and prove himself to be the best 47 pounder after Bud, right? Um, why is he going to go to 54 and take some easy targets? You know what I mean? As the IBF WBA champion at 47, go up. In my opinion, if he can't get Virgil Ortiz right now, if he can't get him right now, like, you know, because the fight was supposed to happen before, you were supposed to fight for him at 54, but you didn't. You decided to stay at 47. But now that you're going up, revisit that fight. Revisit it. And if Virgil Ortiz don't want to do it, all right, cool. You know what? You got to take that L. Maybe you guys could fight in the future. Because at one point you wanted to fight him. And he wanted to fight you and you didn't fight him. Now, if he turns you down, whatever. You know what I mean? Now, I still want to see that fight. It'll be a duck on both of you, one side apiece. You know, unless Virgil Ortiz has something else that I don't know what Virgil Ortiz is doing right now. All I know is that Virgil Ortiz is coming off a couple of really good fights with Bohachuk and with Madrimov. You know what I mean? He's been fighting some good fights. So before we jump the gun and call everything a duck, I believe Jaron Ennis at 54 goes straight into the fire. I think if he can't get Virgil Ortiz, because Virgil has the name, you know, if he can't get like a Jamel Charlo, which I don't think that would happen because Jamel is going to probably take some sort of tune-up because of the inactivity the last few years, right? So realistically, Terrence Crawford, who is still holding a title at 54, he's going to be fighting Canelo, so he's unavailable. Virgil Ortiz, don't know if he's available or not. But that fight was supposed to happen already, and it didn't. So now that it didn't happen, I'm not expecting him to be available. Maybe he will be. I don't know. I know that Tim Tszyu is rematching Sebastian Fundora. Fundora is unified. So Fundora, I don't know what's going on with Fundora. All I know is that he didn't even attempt to unify with anybody, right? He's going to be fighting Tim Tszyu, right? Which is a justified rematch, but the timing of it is like, It seems to me that people are avoiding Bagram Murtazayev, right? He's the IBF champion. Jaron Boots Ennis is the IBF champion at 47. Go to 54 and fight Murtazayev right now. Why not? Murtazayev is dangerous. We saw what happened to Tim Tszyu, but if you go up there and beat Murtazayev right now, you think people is going to be thinking about what's this guy's name? That just fought this morning. Brian Norman Jr. If you go up there and beat Murtazalia right now, do you think people are going to be talking about you ducking Brian Norman Jr. at 47? Hell no. Who the hell wants to fight Murtazalia right now? No one. Tim Tszyu was the only crazy enough to want to fight him when nobody was really checking for him. But now he was the victim. Now no one really wants to fight him. Go in there and fight him. Go up there. If he can't fight him, go up there, fight Sergey Bohachuk. Yeah, he lost to Virgil Ortiz, but it was a very controversial, it was a very close fight because he knocked down Virgil Ortiz multiple times. If you want to prove and make a statement at the new division, go up there, fight Murtazalia, fight a Bohachuk right now. I say Murtazalia because he has a title. Get a title shot in your first fight up there. The guy is available. I believe he's available. I don't think he's scheduled to fight. I just looked at the schedule. I didn't see his name anywhere. He beat Tim Tszyu in October, and he's been inactive. Fight that guy. Fight that man if you want to make a statement. That should be his first fight. You know what I mean? Because everybody else is unavailable. San Jose is moving up in the rankings. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Oh, no, the WBO title is going to be, they say the super world title. So I don't know. I guess Sebastian Fundora doesn't have that title anymore. Okay, so Xander Zayas is going to be fighting Jorge Garcia. That fight is going down. So that fight is unavailable, right? So look, this is what we got. We got Bakram, right? We have Bohachuk, right? Right? But Bakram's a champ, so that should be a priority. We got Virgil Ortiz. I don't know what Virgil's doing next, right? Boom. You know who's still there? You know who's still there? If you want someone with a name, if you want an introduction to the division, even though it's not a real introduction because this guy is really from 47, Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was calling out boots not too long ago. If you want to fight someone that people know of, fight Keith Thurman. I would take the other fights over Keith Thurman, right? Why? Because they're more credible fights right now at 54. But I wouldn't be mad if he were to fight Keith Thurman. But it's not going to make people respect you if you beat him. You know what I mean? It'll just give you more of a look. But I prefer Virgil Ortiz, Murtazaliev, and even Bohachuk because at least in those fights, all the people that question you, those fights, people will respect those wins. You know what I mean? Now, if you're looking for someone that historically, you know, not historically, I mean, I guess historically now, but someone that's been around for a minute and has a name, you know what I mean? I would go with Keith Thurman. You know, I would go with Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman's only lost to one person. It's just that he's inactive. He's older, but he didn't look bad in his last fight. You know what I mean? Against Brock Jarvis, but still, I think in that order, I'm gonna go with Virgil Ortiz should be number one priority, but I don't know if that's gonna go down because he already turned Virgil Ortiz down. Bakram should be number two because he's a title holder and he's to me the most dangerous guy right now at 54. That's number two. Number three, I would go with Sergey Bohachuk, because Bohachuk has, you know, went to war with Virgil Ortiz and he's won 2 fights since then. And, you know, he's hot, right? He got win over Brian Mendoza. That's the way to go. And I would say number 4, go for Keith Thurman. If I don't want to say this, I know this is going to be disrespectful. It is going to be disrespectful. But I feel like Keith Thurman, you win the name, but I also feel like right now Keith Thurman is the lightest touch of those 4. If you're just trying to get a fight at 154. But that's not a proper introduction to 54 because Keith is not really proven to be at 54 neither. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna throw a couple other fighters, a couple of other names out there. Jesus Ramos, he's still out there. Erickson Lubin, he's still out there. I know Charles Conwell just lost to the guy that's about to fight Xander Zayas. All right, Reyes. Perez. I would say Conor Ben, but Conor Ben is gonna have his rematch with Eubank, Jr. So that's not even realistic. But as far as name and like who's on fire right now, Conor Ben would be at the top level right now, especially after his fight with Eubank. But Conor Ben is not going to be available. All right, so those are my picks. Again, Virgil Ortiz, Bakram, Bohachuk. I would say Charlo, but I don't think Charlo's coming back to fight that guy. Keith Thurman, and after him, I say either Ramos or Lubin. All right, those are my picks for Boots. I don't think taking any soft touches is. I don't think you need to do that, man. You're a top tier fighter. You're an elite fighter, and I think you should come in hot. You're gonna feel in better. You're gonna be stronger. We all know it. I think you should go straight into the fire. you know, and I think you should make a statement win right now at 54, just to, you know, for people can get it going. Whoever you beat at 54 and you make a statement doing it, you know, it's just going to open up for more opportunities, you know, for a future Conor Ben fight. Or if Crawford decides to, whether he wins or loses the Canelo and decides to come back down to 54. You know, this is so many opportunities. I feel like outside of becoming undisputed at 47, all those guys that's from 40 and 35, they weren't realistic opponents in my opinion. You know, Tio's always talking crazy. He never means what he says. You don't know with him. I mean, there was not much there but Norman Jr. But I think these guys are bigger guys and more proven and tougher fighters at 54. So it's how can it be a duck? You know? Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I will see you guys on the next video. Y'all have a good day. Peace.